for the standards of that period, the world was globalized. So if there was networks that could impact the others that were part of the overall chain. So I excavated the different centers like Mycenae or Tyrins or Pylos. I'm just mentioning a few names that are among the script were kept, within the citadels as part of the state archives. And because of the fires that destroyed the palaces, they glimpsed, most of them are from the late stage, reuse them, and when they didn't need them, they could discard them altogether. So basically what we have is, most of the information we have is, it was logs essentially of a lot of items that came in and out of the palace, things like that, but we also, because, they were offering things to them, so, it was part of the produce, so it was important to report. So among the names of the deities are named to the violent destruction of these places, that a lot of that survived. Okay, so we're driving further south. This is the plain of Argos, as I told you. So you see things growing all around us. The place is very agricultural. We're going to see a lot of olive trees later on as well on our way to Epidaurus. So it's close to the period of the time, like toward the end of this month, they are going to start picking the olives. So it's the winter time. Since back in the day, since the prehistoric times, there was organized production and trade. So the Minoans did that, the Mycenaeans more intensively, and so it was very important throughout our history. Athens, of course, has the famous myth of how Athena offered the first olive tree to the people of Athens, and it's a story, that shows you how important the production of olive oil was for the Athenians, given that it's a dry area where Athens is located, but there are many olive trees around. So visitors that were participating in the local games of Athens, the Great Panathenea Games, which were taking place every 4 years in the contest. Because of the temperatures, there's been, so far, Spain and Italy have been more affected by comparison to Greece because of the drought there in the past years. So for example, last year, 2022, Greece was in the second place after Spain, because the production in Italy dropped a lot because of the drought. And at the moment, the prices everywhere, in comparison to what it used to be up until last year, because the conditions do not, favor the production of olive oil, and it's something, to consider for the future. Because as I said, it's 60% of the 65% of the world produce of olive oil comes from these countries, these three countries combined. So if you have prolonged periods of drought, and then you have a lot of rainfall at the completely wrong time of the year, then the trees tend to produce so much less. So anyway, it's expensive. So if you want to buy olive oil wherever you are in the world, this year you're going to have to pay so much more money for it. In Greece, the areas that are particularly famous, you can find olive trees all over Greece, and most people have their own little olive grove somewhere, or like the family does, someone related to them or a friend. But the two regions that are most famous for the production of olive oil and are the Peloponnese, especially the southwest part of it, which is the Kalamata region. Kalamata olives. Yes, this is where they come from. So like 65% of the Greek production comes from the Peloponnese. And the island of Crete also produces a lot of olive oil. But as I said, there are many places all over the country with their own production. So it's a very, very big part of the culture in general. When we say oil in Greece, we mean olive oil. And we cannot imagine, that you will use anything other than olive oil for your, cooking. And I did say that, you know, traditionally Spain and Italy are bigger producers. But the Greeks hold the record for consumption per capita. First place, 12 liters per person per year. It has been estimated. This is not something to imitate. It's not good for you if you know, consume as much as that, because sometimes there's more calories in the olive oil excuse me, than there is in the, you know, all of the other ingredients in this combined. So. But as I told you, here of course are many orange orchards. Okay, so many trees you see around us. So Laconia to the south and the Argolis are the places for where most of the orange production of Greece comes from. Oh, not just the oranges, but also the lemons, you know, citrus trees in general. And we grow a lot in Greece in terms of you know, fruit and vegetables. Just to mention a few that we grow in large quantities. And those that I will mention come for the most part from the north part of Greece, are peaches, which are also exported in the form of canned peaches. Okay, that's popular. And more recently, you know, kiwis. We are #1 exporter in the European Union for kiwi. Have you ever been anywhere where there are many kiwis growing? It smells terribly. They are stinky. So when you have a lot of them in an area, it's just really, first of all, it looks like a huge vine, the plant, but for some, they smell bad. So where you're in an area with a lot of kiwis, it really is not very pleasant. Anyway, we're not going to get any close to very large quantities, and that we also export. Of course, we have vines, so grapes, wine. In Greece, we have a lot of our local varieties of wine, which is the interesting thing about, you know, the local production. And at the moment, you know, there is they are placing a lot of emphasis on the local varieties and also on the study and revival of varieties that have been neglected. Because, you know, you need a competitive advantage. Okay, Greece is small, so you know, France, of course, yes, even Germany, Spain. So they really want to work on the special character, you know, of the Greek varieties and the general tradition. You know, the Greeks had a god for wine, Dionysus, which obviously tells you that these people really loved their wine. It was very important for them. And so I think that's it's important. It's an entire culture. You know, it's not just the agricultural production in the very narrow sense. Okay, so apart from Mycenae, Argolis, not very far away from Mycenae itself. So one of them we are actually going to see in a few minutes, or mighty Tyrrhenes as it was described. It was referred to as mighty Tyrrhenes because of, again, its impressive walls. So it lies straight ahead of us. We're gonna drive by in a few seconds. Now that was by the sea essentially back in the day. Closer to where we are right now. So Tyrrhenes was, and it was the home of Eurystheus, who was, we can see again that place from the other side. Okay, so you'll see it again, don't worry. There is more once we turn here to the left. So every time he completed one of his many labors, the 12 labors of Hercules, he had to come back here to Eurystheus, who was based at Tyrrhenes, supposedly this place. So they're a bit different from Mycenae. It's not on a high hill like Mycenae was. Heavily fortified, as we see. Obviously different shape, elongated. And terrace inside, there were 3 different terraces with the palaces at the very top and then the rest of the facilities. Ito yung tabela libo marakato. Texiam, Drex para puli. Kaya na business ay nanas ka na. Tabela there. The driver will take you to Nafplio at the city center. He will drop you off at this central location at this part. 3 o'clock location to join us to go, and the rest of us after we have lunch we will also go to the town and you will have some free time on your own. And at 3 o'clock, okay, so please don't be late, you have a lot of time. People that have lunch included, please follow me.
Lunch in Nauplia. We're going to lunch right now. Here's my wife. She got lost again.
I went to the store.
I know where you went. This is the fish sea
Sea
bass,
bass.
right? This is the calamari.
That's it.
This looks better. There we go. Then we got some red wine.
Babalikan ko.
Yeah.
I suggest you
Ikaw naman.
That's okay.
Did you get that?
Ikaw mag-turn off. Stop mo na. Turn mo ganyan, no?
During the uprising. However, the Greeks had a lot of ships. The islands that had the largest number of ships were the islands.